If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
So today we'll continue our discussion on our data model, the extension part. And after that, we'll talk about the roles and DQM and MDC. These are the pending topics that we have. So I'll try to cover up some of them today and the remaining topics in the next session. Okay, so let's continue with our data model extension. So yesterday we have seen the how we can actually extend the steps that are involved in extending the data model with the custom attributes. So that we discussed yesterday. So this is one. And after that, now let me open that. Okay, so the other scenario is, I'll just give a quick recap what we have done yesterday. So we have MDG side some activities, and before that we also have some activities on ECC side. So ECC side in the sense the standard table extension, those things. So first thing is, in case of if at all you wanted to extend the data model, the requirement is to extend the data model with custom attributes. First we need to, step one is need to extend standard ECC tables. So this we have extended yesterday. Mara is an example table. And once you extend that one, the second step is also extend API structures. So API structures also we have done. There's a MDG mat Mara and Mara underscore UI, Mara underscore X. So these are the three structures that we extended yesterday. So these three structures we extended yesterday: Mara underscore X, Mara underscore UI. And as soon as you extend your Mara table, automatically this S underscore Mara gets added with your custom attributes. Okay, but we need to just have a cross check on that one. So after this, the third step is that we discussed towards end. There is an SPRO configuration where you need to maintain the field status group. Field status group. So the field status group we need to maintain. This is required. Actually, in fact, all these three things are required irrespective of your MDG. If at all you wanted to extend your material management or module, in module, if at all you wanted to add some custom attributes, so these three steps are mandatory irrespective of whether you wanted to bring those, you are using MDG or without MDG. These three steps are mandatory. Whether you can, even if at all you wanted to include in MM01 also. Okay. Whether you wanted to add those attributes in your MDG layer or in your MM01 or MM02 ECC specific transactions, these three steps are mandatory. Okay, so this field status group also we discussed yesterday. So it will be there somewhere in your SPRO configuration. If you go to logistics general, then under logistics general you'll have material master. Then after that, okay, here you have something called field selection. There assign fields to the field selection group. So basically there are different groups are available, and we need to add our custom fields to those the most relevant group, or else you can create your own group, and inside that particular group you can maintain the configurations. Like you wanted to, for which if you have any specific requirements for these material types, these Z attributes should be mandatory. And those things you can actually control over here. Okay, so this is required for your material creation, either using MM01 or your MDG UI as well. So this we need to do this one. After that, coming back to MDG side, in MDG side we have first thing is data model extension. Extend your data model. Basically you need to find the right entity and add your custom attributes to that particular entity. So as soon when you are adding a custom attributes, the naming prefix will be YY or ZZ. If you are adding a custom entity, the naming convention should be Y or Z. Okay, so this is the first step. And after that, you need to regenerate the structures, right? MDG structures. Okay, and once you complete this MDG structure generation, then you need to run a program to adjust your data model. Okay, so basically either in the here itself we can find that edit data model. You will have some button at the top. You need to select your data model, whether it is an MDG or sorry, it's MM or BP or anything. You need to select this and click on this one. Okay, so this one, adjust staging area of linked change request. Basically this is required if you have any open change requests in the system. Okay, so and also alternatively there is a report, USMD adjust staging. Either you can run this report with your data model. Okay, so adjust the run report, okay, to adjust open CRs. Okay, so you need to run that particular report. And after that, now SMT mapping will come into picture. Okay, so SMT mapping is basically you will have your MDG structures. MDG structures are nothing but these structures. Whatever you regenerate, that regeneration will include it will add all the custom attributes also into the structure. So you need to map between this MDG structure versus your APA structures on the target side. So between these two things, you need to maintain the SMT mapping that we have discussed in yesterday. Okay, and after that, the fifth one is add custom attributes to MDG UI. So the standard UI application, go to the technical help. From there, you can get into the customization mode. There you can actually add those custom attributes. Okay, and after this, finally, you need to it's not mandatory, but if you see some issues with the UI where you're not able to find or maybe those attributes, then there is a kind of configuration node is a central governance for material master. So there you need to clear the buffers, clear UI metadata buffer. So when you run this one, what happens is automatically system will refresh the buffers, so that when you open your UI application, it will read the content freshly instead of reading it from the buffers. Okay, so you need to clear this particular buffers as well. This is as a best practice. Clear metadata UI buffers. Okay, so once you perform these activities, then automatically this is completed, like your extension with the custom attributes. After that, once you do this, bring these custom attributes into the MDG governance scope, then after that, maybe if at all you wanted to do some derivations based on these custom attributes, you can do that particular derivations. It's from here onwards, it is a common thing. Whatever you can apply the MDG rules or any MDG functionality on the standard attribute, the same thing you can also do the same thing for your custom attributes. So basically these attributes you can make use in your derivations, or else in your validations, or else if at all you wanted to enhance these in your workflows. Okay, workflows, or else you need to also, if for example, if these attributes you wanted to replicate to the target system as well. Okay, in that case, because the other part will come, additional steps will come into picture here. Okay, if at all you wanted to replicate these custom attributes to target system, then the activities will be like this is the standard activity. You need to enhance your IDOC. First, you need to create a Z message type, and you need to include your custom attributes also into the IDOC segment. Okay, so this is similar to, there is nothing specific to MDG. In general, in SAP world, if someone wants to send some custom attributes through IDOC, then you need to do that IDOC extension with your custom attributes. IDOC extension you need to for custom attributes. Okay, so that's it. Once you do this one, then there will be some BAdI for every outgoing IDOC. For every outgoing IDOC, SAP provided BAdI. Okay, because what happens is at the time of replication, once you approve your CR, then what happens is your data gets stored into your Mara table. Okay, so into your Mara table. Now let me show you here. Okay, so if you let me take this. Okay, so this is your MDG system. Okay, and this is a ECC layer and your MDG related functionality over here. Once you approve your CR, what happens is your data, the data will get stored into your database here, like your Mara Masi table, including your Z attributes. Now, after that, your replication will come into picture. So at the time of replication, what happens is standard IDOC will take care of reading the attributes, the standard attributes, and it will prepare that IDOC and it will send that IDOC to the target system. Okay, because standard doesn't aware of or doesn't know anything about your Z attributes. Now what happens is, now in the same process, SAP provided one BAdI. Okay, SAP provided one BAdI. Basically user exit, or not user exit, it's a customer exit. SAP provided basically one BAdI over here. Now in this particular BAdI, what you need to do is you need to you'll get as an input as your material number along with your IDOC number. You need to read that material number, then read these Z attributes as well from the same table and populate your custom segment over here, so that now this IDOC also it also will carry your standard attributes as well as the custom attributes, because this using this particular BAdI you need to fill your custom attributes to the same IDOC. Now what happens is in the target system also, once the IDOC, you need to do the same extension over here. IDOC extension is required because if you need to do that IDOC extension in source and in target system. So once you extend your target IDOC as well, in the same system as well with the custom attributes, then there will be one incoming inbound BAdI will be there over here. Okay. Now inside this particular BAdI, you need to read that whatever the custom segments are coming up, and you need to pass this data to the API structures. So already extended with your API structures. Okay, so you will have those attributes and you need to just pass those values, so that the standard will take care of posting, you creating that material along with the standard attributes. It will also update your custom attributes in the target system. So in short, this is I mean, in any SAP world, if you wanted to send some attributes, custom attributes from one SAP to other SAP system, we usually follow the same thing, nothing new specifically from MDG point of view. Okay, so first you need to do the IDOC extension. Okay, this IDOC extension has to be done in source system. Okay, in source system. Okay, and in the same source system you need to implement the BAdI and populate custom attributes here. And after that, the next one is in the target system also you need to do the IDOC extension. Okay, so this is in the target system, and you'll have a similar to this one, you'll also have one BAdI, and in this particular BAdI, read custom attributes from IDOC and populate API structures. Okay, so you can populate into the API structure. So this is how actually, if at all you need that attributes in the target system, you need to additionally follow these configurations. Of course, this is pure again development activity. ABAPer has to take care of this activity both in source and target systems. Sometimes in some project, what happens is as an MD, though you are an ABAPer, you will ensure that to take care of the MDG side activity. That means these two activities. And on ECC target side, if you have an ABAPers on the in your team, and usually they will take care of this one. All you need to just pass your data into the custom segments and tell them that, okay, boss, I'm these are the custom segment and these are the custom attributes I'm sending through the IDOC. Now in the target side, you take care of these two steps. Okay, but whoever will do this, whoever maybe they will be doing this one, ultimately these are the complete end-to-end scenario to add some custom attributes into MDG scope. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, yeah, Akshay. Is this BAdIs same for all other models?
Yes, yes, yes. So this BAdI, irrespective of your material or BPR customer, so the BAdI remains same, because this BAdI is provided at the IDOC level. So if someone wants to do some extension and populate some attributes, so then actually this particular BAdI you can take care of. I didn't remember exactly name of that BAdI, but I can provide in the source and target the BAdI names. Okay, somewhere I used recently as well. You can Google it and get that one, how to populate custom attributes into the IDOC. If you Google it, you will get that BAdI name. If not, I'll provide in that in the next session. Okay, but at high level, these are the activities that involved. Okay, now coming back to first one. Okay, so first one, extending standard attributes which doesn't exist in the data model. Okay, so in this scenario, this is our scenario 2. Now I'll take this one, scenario 1. Okay, in scenario 1, what happens is it's a standard attributes. In scenario 1, it's a standard attributes. So that means you no need to extend this one. This step is not required for us. There should be something strike off. Okay, so you don't need to extend that API structures, because it's a standard attributes that should be already available either in your Mara Masi. Okay, and of course these extensions are also not required, and this one also will be field status group also. Basically, you don't need to do any activity on the ECC layer side. Okay, now on MDG, these steps remain same, so there is no issue. The only thing is that in the SMT mapping, you will have here on the source side, it will be MDG side, it will be Z attribute. On API side, it will be the standard attribute. So you need to do the mapping between your the custom attribute from MDG versus the standard attribute on ECC side. That is the only thing you need to just remember over here. These steps remain same, so there is no change in this process. And again, if at all you wanted to replicate that attributes, this process remains same in IDOC structure. Okay, so if you need to look at if that attribute is also the standard attribute, usually should be part of IDOC standard MATMAS IDOC. If it is already part of the standard MATMAS IDOC, then you no need to do anything. Most probably you will have those attributes in the standard IDOC itself. Okay, so SAP, these IDOCs, the SAP created long back, and they usually include all the attributes from your standard ECC tables. So most probably if it's a standard attribute, I don't think that you need to perform this one. But in case If that attribute is not available in the worst case situation, then you can actually repeat the same steps to replicate this data to the target system as well. Okay, so this step, yeah. Any questions?
Okay, thank you for letting us know. Bye.
I think I need to mute.
Akshay,
Yeah.
these last four steps for replicating the custom attribute to target system, did you do that yesterday? Last 5-10 minutes have
No,
been.
no, we didn't do that one. The reason is it's a nothing specific to MDG. It's a, any ABAPer will should aware of this process. Okay, so if at all, see, if at all you wanted to extend, what you need to do is you need to go to WE31. Okay, so let's. This is the material master IDOC. Okay, and if you look at this one, you will find all standard segments over here. I wanted to add some attributes under Mara. Then I need to create a custom segment under this one, E1 Mara 1. And with the custom segment, I need to create and I need to add those Z attributes. So this extension is a common, like I mean, it's not specific to MDG. Any ABAPer should aware of this is a basic thing for the ABAPer to how to extend the IDOC. That's why I didn't mention that it's not an MDG thing. Okay.
Web service, when so if
Yeah,
it is
again, if it is a web service, then you need to there is a certain steps you need to follow to extend your web service. Like in the S proxy, you need to follow certain steps to extend with the web service with custom attributes.
Is there any document?
Document, I think I'm not sure if I have already shared it is in the part of that one, but let me just check that. But I also should add it that document from the web service point of view. If not, I'll add that one. But there should be some document you can get web service document. I'll check that one, but there should be one document to for the web service extension.
Akshay,
Yeah.
what is the BAU activities and support project, if you can?
I didn't get your question.
Like, what are the BAU activities, business as usual activities in support project, if you can tell?
Usual activities in the MDG support project. Huh?
Yeah.
So that I will include in the next week thing. Let's finish the planned activities and I can. I'll include that topic in our next week session. Okay.
Yeah, Akshay, one more document is in the previous classes you said you will provide that one.
What is that?
Enrichment example document.
I did I share or it should be there enrichment example. We should have shared it up. So it's there. I'm not sure if I.
It was not uploaded. That one, yes.
Is it there?
No.
It's not there. Okay, okay. I'll upload this one as well. The same document. Right away after this call, I'll attach it. Okay, fine. So scenario 1 is this one. And coming back to scenario 4, let me first finish the scenario 4. Okay, so scenario 4 is extending the data model with the flex entity. This is our scenario 4. Okay, so in this case, in case of a flex entity, let's copy this entire thing. Okay, so flex entity itself tells that we don't need this attribute in your ECC layer. Only you need this attribute to derive something. So yesterday we discussed some of the sample scenarios over here. Okay, so that means because I don't need this attribute in my ECC table, so these steps are not required. And also I don't need these attributes in my ECC layer, or even in case of flex entity, you don't need these attributes in your target system as well. So obviously these steps are also not required. So these steps are also not required. Okay, and here for flex entity, data model extension is required. You need to regenerate the structures. You need to run the report. Okay, and SMT mapping is not required. SMT is not required because SMT is required only when you need these attributes in the ECC layer. Because in case of flex entity, that attribute will be there within MDG area. There is no SMT mapping, and it's up to you whether you wanted to add it into the UI or not for the user. So this can be there, and your metadata, this one. So only these 5 steps are required in case if it is either flex entity or flex attribute. Okay, now another important one, extending the data model with custom entity. So this is the place where we get some additional steps other than whatever we discussed. This is S3. S3, right? Yeah. Okay, now in this case, let's copy all this. Okay, now, sorry, this is not flex entity with the custom entity. Custom entity. Okay, so basically here we are adding one new entity into the data model. So when we are creating a custom data model, that time we created all our new entities only, like type 1 and type 4 entities. Okay, so here first thing is always this is not the step. Instead of actually extending the standard tables, you will have some custom table, not the extension. That's why we are extending with a custom entity. So in place of extending the standard Mara table, you will have your Z custom table. Okay, so it can be any Z star table. Okay, and after that, this is not required. This step is not required. Okay, and field status group is also not required. Field status group is also not required. Okay, now data model extension, yes, we need to do the data model extension with new entity. Okay, you need to go to MDG IMG. Okay, you need to, instead of adding the attributes under the custom entity, we will go to MM data model, click on new entry. So this is exactly the same way how we created our custom data model. You can actually add a new entity. Okay, and remember always when it comes to the custom entity, okay, so it usually will be a type 4 entity, because we don't create a type 1 entity for the standard objects. Always for material master, the type 1 is material, and you always your requirement will be you will be with, usually it will be like a type 4 entities only you will be creating. Okay, so when you are creating a type 4 entity, then if it is 1:1 relation, No need to create a type 3 entity. If it is a 1:n relation, you also need to create a type 3 entity and make the relationships. So this we discussed during our original in the custom data model creation, type 1, type 3. When you are adding type 4, if it is a 1:n relation, you need to create a type 3 and make a leading and qualifying relationships. So those things we already discussed. All those concepts will be applied over here when you are extending with a custom entity. Like you need to create the relationship as well. Okay. And after that, regenerate the structures. It's the same thing. You need to go to that MD under the data model. You need to add those things. Like basically here you'll go to generate data model specific structure. Go to data model under structures. You need to click on new entry for, because here you can see all the standard entities. For your custom entity, you don't see anything. So you need to add a new entity over there by through this new this one. And you can just always refer the standard one of the standard entity. Okay. You need to add the entries something like this. Okay. You need to add the entries something like this. Okay. So once this is done, okay, and SMT mapping is required. Okay, so you need to create your own SMT mapping, and you need to here in this case your custom entity Z entity staging structures will become the MDG structures, and you need to create, because in case of material master or standard tables, you have these API structures like MDG, BSMAT, SMARA, SMARA UI, SMARA UIX. So those structures are already there because it's for the standard table. For custom table, you need to create your API structures. Create API structures. I'll show you that in the, I'll show you we already have a document I already shared, but I'll show you that one. Okay. So instead of extending the structures, you need to create a new structure. Once you create a new structure, this SMT mapping will be between your custom the staging structure versus, again, this is also custom API structure only. So you need to do that mapping between these two things in the SMT. And after that, the rest, everything is same. All these steps. Okay. And IDOC, if at all you need this data to be in the IDOC, I mean, wanted to replicate to the target system, again, the steps are remain same. You need to add IDOC extension with the custom segment, add those attributes, Z attributes into that particular custom segment. And in the BAdI, you need to populate that custom segment. So this again remains same. Okay. Now here there is one additional step will be there. Here there will be one additional step. That step will come before this one. This will become 5, 6, 7. Okay. Here SAP provided a BAdI, MDG specific BAdI. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of this particular BAdI? If you remember, when you are activating your change request, standard will take care of populating or creating the material with all the attributes in the standard table. But here we don't have a standard table. We have a custom table. Now, how SAP will know that this particular entity data I need to store into this particular custom table? Okay. So SAP doesn't know that one. It's our responsibility to write insert statements or modify statements and read statements to handle your CRUD operations for the custom table. Okay. For that reason, exclusively SAP provided a BAdI. Okay. So what happens is, at the time of activation, the controller will actually call this particular BAdI, and it will pass your custom staging table data to this particular BAdI as an input. Now what you need to do is, you need to read the data and do a modify statement, or do an insert statement, so that the data will get stored into your custom table. For Mara, Marcy and everything, SAP will take care. It's a custom table. SAP doesn't know that one. Though your SMT mapping will pass the data from staging structure to this particular API structure, this will, after this one, this API structure data will be made available in your BAdI. Now it's your responsibility to insert or perform that CRUD operation on that particular table. Okay. So I'll show you the sample piece of code also. but this BAdIs is important when you are talking about a custom entity. Custom entity, this is a reuse mode, because when I say reuse mode, here you have separate ECC table, Z table over here. That's why we call this is an reuse mode thing. Okay, so these are the additional steps that you need. Basically, this is an additional step. This is an additional step that you need to perform to store this particular data. In earlier scenarios, all your custom attributes are part of the standard table. So standard will take care of that one once you do the SMT mapping. But in this case, you don't have a standard table, it's a custom table. So you need to fill that data into this, but feed the data into to this particular custom table. That's why SAP provided a BAdI. Okay. Now coming back to the documentation, I'll show you that I already shared these documents. You can look at in document set 3, go to Okay, here you will have one document here with reuse, custom entity with reuse. Is this one? Believe this one only. Okay, so this is a document. Okay, what they are doing in this document is, for material they're adding some plant specific data, some plants. This is a new entity, custom entity, they're adding it. Okay, so first first you can see here, first they'll create a table. Where is the table? Not this one. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the document. Okay, so here what they are doing is, while creating a material, they wanted to add some business partner details as well. They wanted to associate some vendor or customer details for every material, probably the vendor data. Okay, so it's a new entity. So because what the first step is there, I think extending this data model, not here, it starts from, it will start from, yeah, here. So first step, you can see here, if you don't have that Z table, okay, so this particular custom table is not available, then they are creating a normal SAP Z table over here. The table will contain material, business partner ID, and partner name. And after that, the next step I mentioned here is, you need to create your own API structures. Okay, similar to like MDG, Mara, SUI, S Mara, UI X that we discussed, right, yesterday, API structures. Okay, so these three kind of structures. Okay, so we need to create. So that's why I can see here, for this create API structures, these steps from step 2, basically step 1 is to create a custom table, and step 2 is to create some structures. So from here onwards, they're creating all that structures and the table types and everything. You can see, if you follow this document step by step, you will end up in creating it a custom table and everything. Okay, so I followed many times this document, and you will see the result output. Okay, so it was very clearly well defined, and all the steps and everything with the screenshots. So you need to create a structure. Corresponding to the structure, you need to create a table type. Then after that, you need to create again another. This is a X structure. The first one is, you have three type of structures, right? S Mara, Mara UI, Mara X. So this is an X structure. They're preparing it over here, and corresponding to the X structure, they're preparing the table type over here. Okay, and after this, okay, now coming, so there is an here, there is one more structure. You need to extend append this particular, you need to extend this structure with your the custom table structures over here. So that is what they are so this is the one. Okay, so they created an append structure ZMDG, and they added both that tables that we created for X structure and for the API structure. So both they added over here, okay, in through this append structure. So ultimately it will look like this: MDG BS mat S Mara S mat data. Okay, so here let me open this table. MDG BS mat MDG underscore BS underscore BS underscore, what is this name? Mat S mat data. Mat S underscore mat. Okay, so this is a complete structure which will have hold complete material master data. You can see Mara data will be there here, and it will, you will have material descriptions, plant data, then storage location, unit of measure data, all complete valuation data, complete material master, entire material master data will be stored over here. So you need to append this particular structure to include your custom table information as well at the end. Okay, so that is what they are saying over here ultimately, because this particular one will be passed as an input to your BAdI. So this will contain, along with the standard attributes, it will also contain your custom table related information as well. Okay, so okay, so that's where you can see through append structure they added the API structures that we just created. Okay, now after that, this is the BAdI they're showing. Okay, so this particular BAdI is available over here. I'll show you if you go to okay, you see here central governance for material. Okay, so if you expand this, you'll at the end you will see something called BAdIs. There you see extension of the API with customer specific segments. So this is the BAdI. So there's no one actually implemented this particular BAdI, but this is the BAdI. Okay, now this particular BAdI you need to implement. This is the one, extension of API with the customer specific segments. Okay, so they showed you how to implement this particular BAdI. Okay, and this BAdI is a filter based BAdI. You need to provide your the API structure, your custom API structure as a filter parameter. Okay, so that's why they are also mentioned that one. And after that, you can get this particular data as an importing parameter to that particular BAdI. Okay, and they are also given the same piece of code over here. There are two methods. Okay, inside that particular BAdI, you need to implement two methods. One method is for save part, because once I activate the change request, then the data should get stored into my Mara table, so that custom table. So that means you need to save that, you need to insert that records. For that one, you need to implement this particular method, save method. Okay, that BAdI implementation will have two methods, read and save. Okay, so let me quickly show you that. Z API. Okay, so once you implement this, you will have, this is a filter, you need to maintain a filter, your custom segment structure name. And after that, in the there are two methods are there. read and check and save check and save. Okay, so basically this save method will get triggered at the time of activation, so that you can actually store the data into your Z table. Okay, so you can look at this one, how to write that logic, how to read that. They given some sample code over here. So ultimately they do a modify statement over here. This is the custom table. So they're reading that, preparing the data, and they're I mean actually doing that insert operation over here. Okay, now read is you need it because when you open your material or change request, right, you wanted to see the data that you already saved earlier. For that one, you also need to implement this read. In case of read, it will like a select statement from your the custom table, get the data, prepare the returning parameter. That's it. Rest everything will be taken care by the framework. Okay, so read and save methods are important. If you implement only say one method, then data gets stored perfectly fine. But you after that, when you try to display the data, you don't see that on the UI. Okay, so this piece of code you can actually refer how to implement the logic when you have a custom table, how to insert the data into the custom table. Okay, and after that, extending the data model and all that stuff they mentioned at the top. The same thing, like you can go to entity. So they basically where is the data model extension? Let's see here. Yeah, this is the one. You can see here the data model extension. They're extending the data model. They generated the structures, metadata buffers cleared. They created the SMT mappings as well. Okay, and finally you can run that report. Okay, and how to extend your UI application, they also mentioned over here the steps. Okay, so we know how to add a list UIVB. If it is a 1:n relation, you need to add a list UIVB. For adding a list UIVB, we prepared, we already done that we developed our own custom UI application for type 1 and type 4, right? So there we added a list UIVB and we maintained the wiring for the list UIVB. So all those concepts will be applicable over here, and you can actually refer with the screenshots. So you can refer this document to how to add the UIVB, list UIVB over here. Because in earlier scenario, we in the existing UIVB itself, we added a custom attributes. But in this scenario, you wanted to add a separate UIVB for your type entity. So that's why here you need to add a custom UIVB, list UIVB. So that one they mentioned over here. So this document I already shared. Okay, along with this one, you can see the other scenario examples over here as well. It talks about adding a custom entity, and this one how to enhance your UI applications, and this is adding a Z field with the on the standard ERP table. So this is a scenario first we discussed yesterday. Okay, so this you also have a document over here, and flex entity also you have a document over here. And this scenario is basically you have some standard SAP table. The difference between these two scenarios, okay, this one and this one. Okay, in the first one, it's a custom table. In the second one, you have a standard SAP table, but the table data is not part of your MDG scope. I don't see any such kind of scenario. Basically, you can avoid the steps for creating a custom table. That's it. But rest everything you can follow the same similar steps that we have done over here. I showed you in the document just now. Okay, so you need to actually the reason that I'm highlighting all these scenarios are basically you need to map your business requirement to one of these scenarios, whether is a custom table or standard table, whether these attributes are part of the standard table or you need a Z attributes, you need a table extension, whether is it a flex or probably you need it as a reuse entity. So all those things you need to actually think through. Accordingly, you need to actually these scenarios will come into picture. I mean, these steps will come into picture, depends on your scenario. And the same concept is also applicable for your business partner as well. Okay, so if you go to business partner also, I shared that BP documents also. Okay, business partners. Okay, here you have the same kind of scenarios. You can look at this here. You'll have the reuse option means it's a custom entity. Okay, and flex means you don't have any SAP table, and this is adding a new field in the reuse option means adding some custom attribute in your business partner vendor tables. Okay, so there are multiple scenarios are there. And again, if you are an ABAPer, I always recommend to start your BP with this particular document. Okay, so this document, they gave a very detailed explanation about how the BP data model is organized. Okay, so if you are an ABAPer, I strictly say that for a functional consultant, you can ignore this document. But for an ABAPer or any MDG technical person, you can actually read through this particular document. Okay, I'll just quickly at the very high level, I explain what the document will tell you. In general, if you remember that when we are discussing about reuse mode, in case of reuse mode, you will have your access class. Okay, so in your MDG system, okay, so you have something called access class. Okay, so this access class actually responsible for saving the data into your ECC layer. Okay, and if at all you wanted to read or modify the existing data, this access class will load the data into your staging one. And this access class also will perform all validations, standard validations and everything. Okay, now for material master, SAP provided only one access class. If you look at this, okay, go to reuse active area. There is only one access class, CL MDG BS mat access. This will take care of all operations for your entire material master object. Okay. But if you go to business partner, here also you will see one access class, access master, BP, BS, BP, access master. Okay. Here also you have one access class, but this access class has some childs. Okay, so what SAP has done is, this access master. Okay, so okay, now in business partner we have BP, and this BP has customer, also vendor. Okay, so then what happens is what SAP has done is they created something called access master. This is a pure technical stuff. Again, I'm just saying. Okay, so they created one CL something star BSPP access master. This particular access class doesn't have any, it won't have any logic, okay, for saving or anything. Instead of that one, it will delegate the calls to, there are 3 childs are there here. One is BP underscore handler class, and vendor handler class, and again a customer handler class. Handler class nothing but access class only. Here it handles, each handler class will handle specific functionalities. Handler class. Okay, so as soon as you get a save or any action, automatically this access class will call either of these particular ones in a sequence. Let's say, for example, all business partner generic data like business partner bank data, address information, tax information. So whatever the generic entities which are common across both the customer or vendor, that information will be available at BP level. and any company code at vendor level. If you have a company code specific information, that will be there at the customer level. And again, if you have something like a purchasing org information, this is specific to vendor. Here you will have sales org related information. Okay, so likewise, customer and vendor will have its own specific attributes or specific functionalities. Okay, so those the generic part will be handled in this BP handler class, and vendor handler class will take care of the company code related entity saving part, then purchasing organization related saving part, and again withholding tax related saving part, and dunning related saving part. So all this, whatever the entities are views which are very specific to vendor, those will be handled in this handler class. Again, similarly, customer, you will have something called a company code, sales org, then you will have something customer related information over here, tax related information, those things. Okay, so these, there are three handler classes are there, and those three handler classes will take care of handling the respective functionalities. That's why if you open any this particular access master access class, there you don't find that logic. Instead of that one, you will see there will be a call to some child classes. So the child can be either this one, either this one, or this one, depends on the entity. Okay, so and again, if you extend your custom entity in BP, there in MM we discussed about a BAdI. Okay, in MM we discussed about this extra BAdI because you need to take care of saving and reading part for your custom entity. Similarly, in case of business partner, instead of BAdI, SAP provided you need to create your custom handler class, custom handler class. Okay, so the custom handler class you can create at any level. Okay, if you are saying you wanted to create this entity, the custom entity is BP level, you need to create a custom handler class for BP or else for vendor, or else you can also create a custom handler class for customer. So this custom handler class again will have the methods like save method and read method. Okay, instead of BAdI, SAP provided a custom handler class. Now how this custom handler class will get called, you need to do a configuration, small configuration. Once you create your custom handler class, after that you need to come to this particular, go to this particular business partner, central governance for business partner. Okay, so somewhere you will see handler, yeah, this one, specify handler class, specify handler processed by the access class. Okay, you need to go to this particular configuration. Data model obviously will be BP. Okay, and here you need to provide your Z handler class. Once you create your handler class, you need to provide your Z handler class over here. Then only system will call the respective methods of this particular handler class. This is how you will be linking your custom class to the standard process. At runtime, what happens is the MDG business partner framework will first, it will execute the respective methods of all the standard handler classes, BP, customer, vendor. In the same sequence, it calls your custom handler class methods as well. Okay, now for this entire thing, whatever I just explained, right? So that was very clearly defined or highlighted in this particular document. The document I showed you over here, business partner overview. It's a technically how, because in material master it's a one object, but in business partner it's a combination of three objects, your BP, customer, and vendor. So that's why that whole technical architecture SAP explained in this one. So I just explained it very high level, this scenario, but with this concept in mind, if you go and read this document, you will have better understanding. And again, how to create your own handler classes, custom handler class, I gave one document over here. Okay, now, so only in case of BP, you will have that kind of handler class concept.
So do we need to create separate handler classes for each vendor? Based upon the requirement.
What is that? Can you repeat again?
Yeah. So handler class. So based upon the requirement, we need to create a separate one, BP, customer, and vendor. Right?
Yes.
So do we need to include any interface in that G class, or
Yes.
will it
Yes.
include automatically?
So that good question. So that's why if you go to this particular custom handler class, you create any Z class, but you need to extend an interface. BSBP access handler. This is the interface. Okay. You need to, they clearly mention your custom handler class must implement this particular interface. Okay, so this is the one. Once you add this interface, you will get some methods. Save additional.
Yeah, read and save.
Read and save ones will be there. Okay, so let me open this. Okay, so the method for save here is save additional. It will have something called additional data. Yeah, this is the one. Save additional object data. So this method will get called at the time of activation, and your data will be passed as an importing parameter to this. Internally, you can actually read the data and do that one. And all other methods are there. Whatever the access class will have, all the methods are available over here. You can manipulate anything over here. Okay, then you will have something called read also somewhere. You can see read also will be there to read the data. Read object data is there. Okay, so these two are the bare minimum methods that you need to implement. Along with that one, if you wanted to do any manipulate something in the SMTs, you can actually implement these particular methods as well. So the respective documents will show you that how to implement the respective methods, or else you can refer this in the standard access handler class. For BP or customer vendor, there are standard handler classes are there. So those handler classes you can actually will have the same methods. Okay, so if you look at these classes will have all those methods, because these classes also implemented that interface. So that's why you will see all those methods will be available in this one. You can refer how they implemented those methods, what is the purpose. Accordingly, depends on the need, you can also implement those specific methods in your custom handler classes. For all your business partner, customer, vendor, you only one handler class is also enough. You don't need to create 3 handler classes. Only one handler class you can actually create, and there based you will have a check, like depends on the incoming entity, you can actually implement that particular logic. This is the only difference when it comes to the BP and material master. Everything remains same. At the backend access class level, in case of material master, you have one single access class, whereas in BP, it's a combination of total 4 access classes, and you can also have some custom handler classes as well.
Yeah, one basic question.
Yeah.
Yeah, in ECC, earlier we had a separate transaction for a customer vendor. So now in latest version, so SAP, we don't have this transaction, and those are obsolete, and now we are creating and changing and also via BB transaction. So,
Yes.
yeah, why SAP has done so any specific?
Okay, why SAP has done like that is because if you look at SRM, in SRM, we don't talk about vendor or customer. It will be in terms of business partner they talk. And in normal ECC, we talk in terms of customer or vendor. Okay, and let's say, for example, in organization, one of the common requirement is the same customer can also act as a vendor. Okay. So I'm a maybe a Dell. I'm a Dell company, and I'm doing some business with Google. So I act as a customer to Google. At the same time, I also act as a vendor to Google also, because I supply laptops to Google. So I'm a vendor to Google. At the same time, I consume some services, cloud services or something from Google. So in this case, SAP thought like, okay, if I create a customer, I need to create a customer for Dell again as a vendor also. In the Google company, I'll create one account for customer Dell as a customer, and another one is a vendor. Okay, but how do I link both the things? In that case, you will have one parent, right? The business partner act as a parent. Under business partner, you can create a customer, and you also can create a vendor, and you can link this customer and vendor to the same business partner. If you look at the typical organization structures, the big companies like Amazon, or if you take Google or Microsoft or Apple or anything, like the org structure will be something like this. Okay, you'll have a business partner, and this business partner will again have another business partner. If you take the typical worldwide structure, okay, so this is, for example, in India country, and this is in US, and this is in somewhere in Europe region. Okay, now in India, this BP has got Dell as a customer and Dell as a vendor, or probably multiple customers also. I can create multiple customers, multiple vendors, depends on the situations. Okay, similarly here also I'll have customer and I'll have vendor, and here also I'll have customer and I'll have vendor here. Okay, now likewise you have, now if you map all these childs customers to the respective BPs in that geographic region, okay, and all these BPs at different geographic regions, if you are mapping it to the parent BP, okay, now as an organization, at the organization level, now I wanted to see my Google company, let's say for example, how much business I'm doing with Dell in an year worldwide overall. So then I can roll up all the, because in this case I'm doing business with Google, oh sorry, Dell. So I can roll up all their sales orders, all their transactional documents related to the customers. I can roll up at individual country level, and from there I can roll up to the top level. So I can get some results. Similarly, how much I'm paying to, as a vendor, I'm paying to Dell. In that case, from the vendor scenario, I'll get the data to the individual BP levels, and from there I can roll up to that one. So in this way, it will be easy to generate such kind of reports. And usually what happens is, okay, I'll make a deal with Dell that, okay, in an year, in the worldwide, if you make probably, for example, 10 millions of purchase, if you do services, if you take from my what do you call cloud services, then I give you 20% discount. If you make $5 million, then I give 10% discount. So in this case, I need to get the worldwide how much they are actually doing the business, whether, so that I can sum up at the top level. If it is at 10 million, then there will be some 20% discount. If it is a 5 million, then it will be 10% discount. So such kind of reports, if at all I wanted to generate to see, to provide that discount, these kind of things help me. Okay, so now here the point is, you should have one common node which will link your customers and vendors. So that's where SAP now focusing, come up with this kind of a business partner, and they made it mandatory that, okay, you need to link the customer vendor through the BP only. That's why even in your MDG also, you only have one data model BP. They haven't created separate data models for customer or vendor. So BP will have all the generic common information, bank data or probably address and all that stuff, and individual specific information related to the sales related information will be there at the customer level, and purchasing related information will be there at the vendor level. So even if at all I have to change some address data, I'll open the BP data and I'll change the address. The same address will get translated at the vendor level and at the customer level. So SAP wants to ensure that always you do changes at your BP level, so that the data that will be reflected to the respective nodes through the CVA configuration, customer vendor integration. So there are two type of CVAs will be there. One is you'll have one CVA talks about BP to customer and vendor. So in this case, if I do any changes at BP level, the data will be transferred down to the respective objects as well. There is one more CVA is there. We call it as a reverse CVA. Sometimes what happens is I will do some changes at a vendor level. I'll go to XK01 or XK02 transaction and I do some changes at the vendor level. So these changes should reflect back to my BP level. So that's we call it as a reverse CVA. So if this is a business requirement, then you need to configure the reverse CVA as well. If your organization always the requirement is always to go with from BP, this configuration is not required. Your normal CVA is enough. Okay, you can Google it to get up the step-by-step approach how we can actually configure the CVA thing. Okay, it's a normal ACC consultant responsibility, but you can look at the configurations over here. If you go to SPRO, in SPRO, you'll have something called cross application components. Then master data synchronization, customer vendor integration. This is the node. Okay, business partner settings. Then you'll have here settings for customer integration. Okay. And now here you see two set of directions. Direction from BP to customer, customer to BP also. Both you need to configure over here. Similarly, you will have for vendor also. BP to vendor and vendor to BP. So you need to know about this particular node. CVA, customer vendor integration. This particular node you need to know. Okay. So I mean, basically, if you are dealing with the business partner, then if you have any ECC consultant, then that guy has to do this configuration, or else we can also do on our own. Okay, it's not a big kind of complex thing. Okay, so I also shared that CVA document, CVA configuration that I already shared this one. Okay, and you can Google it up because this was existing since long. So you can get a lot of documentation around your CVA configurations. Step by step, they explain. Okay. So that is about, is that helpful, Srini?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. Then, okay. Now we'll discuss about quickly about the roles. Again, this roles is something like a security topic. Okay, security has to do this particular one, roles. Okay, but it's like kind of as an FII or probably some additional information for us. Okay, if you look at this, always whenever I do NWBC, okay, if I go to okay, if you look at this one, you can see these different, these are not MDG ones, but you'll see basically all these are the roles in NWBC. If you go to NWBC transaction, these are the roles, SAP security roles. Okay, so here you will also see something called MDG related roles, which starts with MDG. Okay, so let me show you in this system. If you go to PFCG is the transaction code. Okay, we can search with MDGM. Okay, here I wanted to see all material master standard roles. Okay, MDG, after that M indicates it's a material master. Okay, if you do F4, you'll get to see all the standard SAP roles, SAP provided, these are the roles. Okay, MDGM, MDGM display. Okay, display 9 is the latest one. menu role is there. You also have something called requester role is there. This is a specialist role. This is the steward role. Okay, so that means if you, okay, let's say for example, if I go to, if I select this display role, no, okay, so this particular role, click on display. Go to authorization. Okay, so you can see it's a menu, how the this particular menu, if you have if basic security guys assigned this particular role to you, you will see this node. Okay, home page, you will see this kind of thing. Okay, this much. Whatever you see this particular role, this we call it as a menu role. So whatever you can see this particular on the left hand side, this particular menu you can see here. Put this, go to display. I think is empty, so I don't have authorization or probably. Okay, so basically what happens is here, this is what, if you go to that the material master homepage, right? What let me show you something else. Not this one. This. Yeah, so let's, so this kind of left hand side, you can see this particular menu, right? Change request, and a change request, again you have this different kind of nodes. So all these things like material processing. So this particular menu is coming up from this particular one. You can see here on the left hand side. So this particular whatever is there, it actually the same thing it is showing on your NWPC homepage, this one. Okay, now basis will create this kind of roles. Now let's say for example, in this role, in you as per your business requirement, in this display, you don't want to give this data exchange or data replication related links over here in your menu role. In that case, what happens? This is a standard role. Instead of touching the standard role, base security will create copy of the standard role, and in the copied version they remove this data exchange, these folders. So SAP has provided here, if you look at this one, SAP has provided some standard roles. Either you can use this for material master, either security can make use of these roles, or they can refer and accordingly they can actually build some custom roles. Most probably in most of the projects, whatever I've seen, no one will use the standard rows. They copy the standard rows. This you can use it as a reference. You can okay, so you have display role where you can only see the display, you can display the things, you cannot change or anything. Menu role is there. You also have requester role. In case of requester, I can create a change request and it comes with some default authorizations. In case of specialist, there will be some more additional authorizations, approval authorizations will be there. In case of steward, he is a super user. So he can actually perform any activities. He can create the CR, he can approve the CR, he can view anything. So SAP provided all these default roles for us as a reference thing, and security will make use of these reference roles and they create a zeros, and in the zeros they provide the required authorizations. Okay, now what are the important authorizations that we wanted to know, especially here? Let's go to, okay, that's fine. I'll take the example of this display role only. Okay, if you go to this authorizations part, authorization data, there are standard authorization objects are there. You can see here FMDM. So this is the authorizations SAP has provided for the MDG. Okay, so these are the different authorization objects. Okay, now USMD CRQ. This authorization object will tell you that what is your change request type. For example, if you remember, I told you that when I'm creating any change request, if I try to create a material, that time I got a pop-up by which shows that some 10 CR types, 10 change request types. Some of them are standard, some of them custom change request types. And that time I told you that we can control what to display to this user, and we can hide some of that unnecessary change request types for the user. Okay, in that case, what happens is you can mention here your change request type. Basically, we don't do this one. It's a security guy. Okay, security will ask, okay, what change request types you wanted to show to this particular user. Depends on this authorization object. If you say Z mat01, Z mat02, and Z mat03, I wanted to show it to the user, only these change request types, then they will maintain the change request types over here. Sometimes you wanted to give access to all the Z change request types, they can put Z star. So basically, you can control what authorizations, what change request types you wanted to give it to the end user. So for that one, you need to maintain this authorization object. Okay. Similarly, you have something called okay. After this is similar to the additions. Okay, so additions, I'll explain the small topic, small concept only. Similar to your change request type in finance, you will have something called addition concept also. Okay, the purpose is almost similar to the change request. There you will have change request type plus addition, two things. Okay, so again, what addition you wanted to assign to what user? Again, SAP is provided an authorization object for that one. Okay, and you have something called MDOT. Here you can say that in MDOT, what data model, okay, I wanted to allow this user to only work on the material master, not on BP or something else. Then I will provide only the data model as only. And I can also control at entity level. This particular user can only modify or can only change these entities, only material entity, only some entities, not the plant or some other entities. That level also you can maintain the which entities this particular person has authorizations. So this MDOT can be used to control some of your data model and entity level authorizations. Okay. Similarly, there is something called hierarchy concept. They provided something up. I never worked on hierarchies. Okay. To be frank, I never got an opportunity, and hierarchies are very rarely used in MDG. To SAP is provided, no one will use that one. So at hierarchy level also, they provide some authorizations over here. And UI2. You can also control authorizations at UI application level. What UI applications you wanted to provide authorization to which users, so that your UI configurations also you can mention over here. In case if you have, like, see here they mentioned all these are the material master related UI applications, all different material master related UI applications they mentioned over here. Okay, so only these are the authorization objects that are available at MDG level. Okay, specific to MDG, these authorization objects. Additionally, you also should have authorizations of your normal material master authorizations, like your material related plant view, sales view. Those authorizations also you need to have. Okay, you can see here those authorizations are there under this one, material management master data. Okay, here you will have, see here, to maintain the company codes, to maintain the warehouse, then material types, materials, then to change the material type, to create a material, and all these things, plant related information. So you can see you should whatever the views that the end user maintains, only those views or only those authorizations you need to provide over here. You have two set of users. One user will maintain the material basic data, and then you can actually provide only this material maintenance. And if the user wants to maintain some maintain statuses or sales or related views, then you can provide this authorization. If the user doesn't have authorization for this sales org thing, he cannot maintain the sales view. This is required for your either MM01 or your MDG through MDG. In both the cases, you need to have these authorizations. At material master level, you should have these authorizations. On top of this one, if you are using MDG as a master data governance system, the authorizations I showed over here, you should have authorizations to these things. So the combination will work. Okay. So I think that is all about from the roles perspective. Any questions on this?
In the project, so what we need to provide to security team?
What is that? Can you come again?
Yeah. So in the project, security people ask,
No.
right? So what
Yeah.
can?
Okay. So what happens is, now let's say, for example, if security is referring this role and they create a Z role. So as soon as they create a Z role by copying this one, automatically these authorizations will come into picture. These are the pulled object authorization classes. Now here they need to complete this one. So then in that case, what happens is security will call and they'll ask by looking at each authorization object. Okay, this authorization object. Okay, they'll ask you, okay, boss, what is the change request types that you wanted to provide? What values I need to maintain over here? Then we can tell them that, okay, only these so and so change request types he has to, he allowed to do. So something like that, what data model he is authorized. So you can mention that M dot under this one, what UI applications. Or else, if you don't know anything, security will put star. When they put star, it will be like open thing. You can perform any activity. So it's a basically security will ask you by going by each and every authorization object, and we need to tell them that okay, these are the CR types, because security doesn't know what CR type that they need to input. So that we have to guide them. So this is a combined effort of the security and the MDG consultant.
If suppose there is a 10 G change request types, yeah, one user need 5, another one is need another different one, 5, 7. Yeah, so will security need to create a separate copy, separate 2 roles?
Yes, they create a separate roles. One role might be maybe plant team, another role will be some sales team, something like that. They create separate roles, and each separate role will have different change request types, and those roles will be assigned to 2 different set of users. Okay. And you have also have something called activity. So this activity indicates that whether you can change the CR type or whether you can actually approve or we can only create. So those kind of activities as well. So change request type and the corresponding activity on that particular change request type. So this has to be maintained. Okay, so this object class FMDM is very specific to MDG. Okay, so similarly, like if someone is working on HR module, there is a separate object class. Someone is working on material management, there is something. If someone is working on PLM plant maintenance module, you have a different object class. Okay, so likewise, SAP provides different object classes for different modules. In the same for EHS and all the different kind of things. In the same fashion, for MDG also, this is the object class specifically SAP provided. Okay, so this is about roles. So DQM and MDC, I think this both the topics together requires around 1.5 hour time. So I will cover these 2 topics in the next Saturday session. So next Saturday we'll complete these 2 topics, DQM and MDC, and after that, whatever that the interview questions or the documents, so these things I'll take care. Okay, and after this, maybe on Saturday we'll complete the session, and Sunday, if you have any specific questions or any specific topics that you wanted me to repeat, that I can do that on Sunday.
Edition, how to create the edition?
Okay, I'll also include another one, editions. Because we discussed today about material master and business partner, but finance and editions I'll also cover in the next. So these 3 topics I'll cover in the next session, and then we'll have Sunday for any open questions or anything that you wanted to ask or you wanted to know? Okay.
So how many more classes are there left?
Sorry, Swati, can you come again?
How many more classes are left? Two classes?
Two more sessions. So technically in the next session, it will itself will complete these three topics. After that, I'm just keeping one more additional session. If you have any specific questions or anything you wanted to know. So two more sessions.
Okay.
So next week, basically, we'll be closing this. Okay. Fine then. So, we'll catch up next week. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Akshay, one more thing.
Yeah, yes, okay.
When the authorizations were given, like the roles for the role, so it was just given for MDG, IMG roles I could access. I couldn't access the menu roles for the entire time. So I couldn't practice some of the things that like
Menu roles means I didn't get what is that menu role you are talking? So you can go to, okay, let me, you can go to NWBC and
yeah, here I wasn't provided with the menu roles.
no, you can type over here now.
I didn't know that.
I mean, daily this is how actually I'm navigating. You can actually try typing over here this role. Okay, so that's why I just showed you here. If you go to EFCG transaction, okay, here if you search with MDGEM and do an F4, you get the menu role for material master. You can see here menu 9. This is what actually I'm inputting over there. Similarly, if at all you wanted to check something from the business partner point of view, then what you need to do is here star MDG BP star and do an
Had to be done by the ERP team, right?
sorry,
This has to be done by the ERP team, right?
what has no, I mean basically you need the role name. Once you know the role name, let's say for example, this is my BP menu role name. So once I know, if I know that my role name, I can go to NWBC and I'll type it over here. Remove this and type it over here, your BP role, execute. Then it will take you to the BP role. This is your BP homepage. In the production or in the project environment, right? So this particular hyperlink will be sharing to the business users so that they log in with this particular one. Similarly, if at all you wanted to look at a customer, then go to PFCG, MDG, star MDG, C star. C indicates customer. S also will be there for vendor. Okay, so do an F4. You will get the customer menu. Okay, MDGC menu 04. Now copy this. Go to again NWBC. Okay, now again type that one. Once you click this, if you are able to navigate to that, see this is the customer governance homepage.
How to I'm not able to navigate because it has been finished.
You are not able to navigate?
Now it's like more than 2 months, so I was just talking to them for giving me like since I didn't had this these roles I have access and I didn't know that I could do it from there.
Okay.
So I I couldn't practice for this thing. The last part, this thing, FPM and something, and the other things.
Okay, got it. So just check with them, because they didn't provide that right one, so they have to check with them if they can provide that roles, and if we can able to access or not.
Now they have removed all the roles. Like I am not able to go to even MDG IMG page. This thing SAP to connect to remote desktop also.
Okay. Okay. So again, now this is one thing, and the other thing is that the problem is that by the time you aware of all these concepts, you access period got lost, right? So that's where now you're facing the challenge. Okay, so I always recommend that you can get the MDG accesses outside. You can Google it and get some private providers will be there. They charge some $1,000 to $1,500 per month, or if you take it for 3 months, they give it with a much lesser discount, and you can practice whatever you wanted to do in that particular system. I don't know, maybe, but that is also again another way. That's how even something, if at all I wanted to try it out, I get that access from outside, and I can actually do whatever the practice I wanted to do. That is in my earlier thing. So that is one option is there. Otherwise, you can also get that extension through the ZaranTech support team as well.
Yeah, Akshay, so in the NWGC main screen, roles are appearing, right? If there is any configuration required to appear in the initial screen?
Which one? These links and all this stuff? Huh?
No, not this one. In the main screen, whenever you enter the NWGC.
Okay. So if I go to this NWGC, basically whatever you can see over here, right? Yeah. Your user has authorization to all these roles. So all the authorizations that you have is showing over here.
Okay, so whenever security people adding the roles to the user, automatically
it will come over here. The links will come over here. In our project systems, you don't see these many. It's a test system, right? So all unnecessary roles also they send. That's why you see all these things. These are nothing to do with MDG. Whatever you can see these links, right? Nothing to do with the MDG. You can see all these roles.
Don't provide the rules that are relevant.
Yeah, in our project systems, you will see only the MDG roles only, whatever is required. Okay. Now the other way is you can directly go to your NWBC, click this link. At the top, you will see all the different tabs. Now you can see here all these different tabs, right? These are also the same thing. In the NWBC, the links, now it is showing as a tabs over here. Okay, you can actually right click on this till go to your position. Or else the easiest way is look at that role name, and you can actually input in the last column, in the last row, and just execute that. You will only directly get into your that particular home page. In the project systems, you will see only only 1 or 2 links, not those many big list in NWBC. Okay.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.